Okay, let's dive in. Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take the material you send us, unpack it, and really pull out those core ideas, those insights you can actually use. Fast, deep understanding on topics that matter to, well, you.
Exactly. And today we're looking at something huge, mastering English fluency.
Yeah, specifically that very, very first step, the starting line.
Mm-hmm. We've got excerpts here from a source called The 5 Stages of English Mastery. And our mission really is to get clear on what this source says the beginner stage actually is.
And why it's such a hurdle for so many people, right?
Right. Why did people get stuck there? And more importantly, what are the practical strategies this source gives for building that solid foundation you need to move on?
You know that feeling, don't you? Starting something brand new, something kind of scary.
Oh, yeah.
Learning a language, it's like that, but maybe even more intense. You've got this dream of fluency, but mostly it just feels overwhelming.
And the source really gets that starting from scratch feeling. But it offers this powerful shift in perspective. It says fluency isn't just luck. It's not an accident.
Okay.
It happens when you move deliberately through these clear stages and understanding which stage you're actually in. That's step one.
Gotcha. So stage 1, according to this material, is the beginner stage, and it's basically ground zero for almost everyone learning English.
That's it. And here's the bit that makes you pause. The source says, statistically, this is where most learners, they stop. They quit.
Wow. Why? What makes it so tough right at the start?
Well, the source points to a few things. It's confusing, obviously. Everything's new. And it can make you feel, almost like a baby again, struggling with basic communication.
Yeah.
And that feeling is just really frustrating for adults.
Yeah, I can totally see that. But the source also gives some really good perspective here, doesn't it?
It does. It reminds us that every single fluent speaker, anyone you admire, even native speakers learning their own first language, they all started right here at zero.
You started there in your own language.
Exactly. It helps you kind of own it, honor it even. This isn't some embarrassing phase to rush past. It's fundamental.
It's the construction zone.
Precisely. The source is super clear. The beginner stage is where you build your entire English foundation.
And if that foundation's shaky,
your fluency will be shaky too. That's the argument. So doing this stage well isn't just about getting started. It's literally setting yourself up for success later on.
Okay, so foundation building. The source uses this great analogy, right? Building a house.
Yeah.
And for this first stage, they say you need to lay down 3 essential bricks first. The 3 pillars, they call them.
These are your non-negotiables at the very beginning, your main jobs.
Okay. Pillar number 1. Vocabulary, basically getting your first set of tools.
Your job here is just collecting the essential words for your new world. Simple stuff.
So we're talking basic nouns, verbs, adjectives, things you actually need to point at stuff and say what you want.
Exactly. Survival words. The source specifically says forget fancy words like contemplate or subsequently for now. That comes way later.
Right. And the goal they suggest, learn your first 500 words. That sounds doable.
It is. But how you learn them is key. The source really pushes learning through pictures, not just translating from your first language.
Why pictures?
Because visual memory is incredibly powerful. It creates a direct link English word to image in your brain. It sort of bypasses the translation step, makes the connection stronger, faster.
Okay, so tools for that. They mention things like flashcards with pictures.
Yep, flashcards, apps like Anki or Quizlet that use images. Even just sticking notes on things around your house, a note on the door, the window, the coffee mug.
Turn your world into a classroom.
Make English visible. Make it physical. That's the idea.
All right, pillar 2, listening. Tuning your brain into English sounds.
And the source is really firm on this. You have to listen before you can expect to speak well. Listening is the input. You need input for output.
Makes sense, like filling the tank before you drive.
Exactly. And for beginners, the focus needs to be on slow, clear English. Don't try to jump into fast, natural conversations right away.
So what kind of stuff should you listen to?
They suggest things like YouTube channels designed for beginners. BBC Learning English is a common example. Also, simple English storybooks that have audio recordings.
Oh, like kids' books.
Or even kids' cartoons, yeah. Because the language is simple, it repeats a lot. Also, slow English podcasts made specifically for learners.
And the main action is just listen.
Listen every day, even if you don't get everything. The source says let the rhythm, the melody, the sounds sink in. Your brain needs to hear a lot of English before it's ready to produce it comfortably.
It's like how babies learn, right?
Yeah.
Months of just listening.
Precisely. Okay, so pillar 3 is speaking.
The scary one for many.
Maybe, but the source says it's essential. You have to actually try to make the sounds, even as a beginner, even if it's just you, alone in your room.
And the goal here isn't sounding perfect.
Not at all. It's not about fluency or speed yet. It's purely about building confidence and getting comfortable with the physical act of speaking English words, making the sounds.
So how do you practice if you barely know any words?
Simple things. Repeat phrases you hear in your listening practice out loud. Look around your room and just say what you see. This is a chair. Copy short sentences.
Talk to yourself?
Yes. The source specifically mentions talking to yourself, maybe in the mirror. It sounds a bit strange, maybe, but even 5 minutes of this a day starts rewiring your brain.
How so?
It trains the muscles in your mouth, your tongue. You're building the physical memory needed for English sounds, which might be really different from your native language.
They give examples like, this is my phone, I like coffee.
Yeah, super basic stuff. I am happy today, I want to learn English. Just saying these simple things out loud starts building that muscle memory.
Getting your mouth used to the shapes and movements.
Exactly. Making it feel less foreign, less awkward over time.
Okay, so those are the big 3. Visual vocab, slow listening, and speaking out loud, even if it's basic. But the source also warns about some common mistakes, right? Things to avoid.
Yeah, traps that beginners often fall into. They can really slow things down or just make you want to give up.
Okay, mistake number 1. Focusing too much on grammar rules right at the start.
Right. Grammar's important eventually, but the source argues that trying to learn, say, all 12 English tenses right out of the gate is just confusing. It overwhelms you.
So what's the alternative?
Learn grammar more naturally. Pick up the patterns from the real English you're hearing and reading. See how sentences are built in context, rather than memorizing abstract rules first, like you did with your first language, basically.
Makes sense. Mistake number 2, memorizing words without any context.
Yes, those long lists of random vocabulary words. The source says your brain just doesn't hold on to those very well. They disappear fast.
So this ties back to pillar 1.
Definitely. Words stick when they're connected to something. An image, a sentence you heard, a situation, a feeling. Context is king for memory.
Okay. And the 3rd mistake. This one feels more emotional, comparing yourself to other learners.
This is a big one. It's so easy to look at someone else who seems further ahead and just think, oh, I'm terrible, they're so much better.
Yeah, that's a motivation killer.
Totally. The source says you have to shift that mindset. Your journey is unique. The only comparison that matters is you today versus you yesterday.
So instead of they speak better, it's I'm getting better.
Exactly. I'm improving every day. You've got to be patient with yourself. Self-compassion, the source implies, is crucial here.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have the pillars, we have the mistakes to avoid. How does the source suggest putting this all together, like day to day?
They propose a really simple daily routine. The focus is on consistency, not necessarily long hours.
How long are we talking?
Just 15 to 30 minutes a day. Manageable, right?
Yeah, most people could find that. What does it look like?
Okay, so they break it down. Maybe 5 minutes on vocabulary. Learn your 5 new words for the day, making sure you use pictures or example sentences.
Got it. 5 words, 5 minutes.
Then 10 to 15 minutes for listening. Watch that slow English video, listen to your easy audio, maybe try to catch the words you just learned or just absorb the sounds.
Okay, and the last bit.
5 to 10 minutes of speaking. Repeat some stuff you heard. Say your simple sentences out loud. Talk to yourself about your day in basic English.
That's it. Vocab. Listen, speak.
That's the core loop. Simple, repeatable. It's all the pillars. The big message is consistency beats intensity. Doing this small amount every day builds way more momentum than like a 3-hour cram session once a week.
Yeah, it feels much less intimidating, more like building a sustainable habit.
Right. And the source wraps up with some pretty strong motivation specifically aimed at beginners.
How does it frame it?
It really pushes back on the idea that you're just a beginner. It says, no, you're a builder. You're creating something amazing, a new language in your mind, a new voice for yourself. You're building a new part of you.
I like that. A builder, not just a learner.
Yeah. And it acknowledges, it feels awkward sometimes. Your sentences are short. You forget words. You might feel silly talking to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But the encouragement is just keep going. Embrace that awkwardness as part of the building process.
And the final push.
It reminds you of this powerful truth. Every single person who speaks English fluently now, they were exactly where you are. They faced the same hurdles, used similar steps, and they got through it.
So the source is saying you can too.
Absolutely. If they could do it, starting from zero, then so can you.
It really changes how you might see those struggles, doesn't it? Not as failure, but just as being in the process.
Exactly. You're not stuck. You're just in the foundation laying stage. You're building.
So wrapping up this deep dive into the beginner stage, based on the 5 stages of English mastery, the big takeaway seems to be that this first stage, while maybe tough, is absolutely vital. It's the bedrock.
Non-negotiable. And success here comes down to focusing on those 3 pillars: visual vocabulary, consistent, slow listening, and speaking out loud regularly, even if it's simple.
And making sure you sidestep those common traps, like getting bogged down in grammar too early, trying to memorize isolated words, or that negative comparison game.
Right. And the key to making it happen seems to be that simple, consistent, daily routine. Small steps every day.
The source leaves us with this really interesting thought to chew on. This idea that feeling stuck might not mean you're failing.
Mm-hmm.
It might just mean you're in a stage. And if you know what stage you're in and you apply the right actions for that stage,
then moving forward isn't just possible, it's the natural outcome.
So the question for you, listening, what does it mean for your learning right now to see yourself not as stuck, but just as being in a particular stage, maybe this beginner stage, and building that essential foundation?
It's a powerful reframe.
Definitely gives you a different kind of energy to keep going. And the source does hint there's more to come, right? Mentioning the intermediate stage, expanding your English world.
Yeah, it suggests there's a clear path laid out beyond this first step. This is just the beginning of the blueprint.